together in his creative arts, and this is also one of the income-generating ventures in 2016 that I think Kenyans should also look seriously into. So we have John Nzioka, who is a creative artist or fine artist, and we also have Kevin Macharia, who is the CEO of Sunrise Tracking, which is a company that makes car tracking systems, and also technology happens to be one of those industries to look out for in 2016. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And I'll start by finding out from you, John. How long have you been doing this, and what has the journey been, very briefly?
Okay, I'll start with where I studied it. First encountered art in high school.
Yeah.
I took it as a subject, did it up to KCSE level. But I dropped it in favor of a different course.
Yeah.
But in second year of campus, I decided to take it up again as an income generating engagement.
So did you drop out of campus?
Not really.
Kept on,
I used to do it part-time.
It was part-time.
Yeah, yeah. And I kept doing it part-time, even in employment, in and out of employment. I kept using art as an income generating engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So now that you've been using it as an income generating engagement, how lucrative is it? For instance, a piece like this, what would it go for?
Well, first of all, in terms of how lucrative it is, it's always been seasonal. But in the good season, a piece like that can go for about 8,000 to 10,000. Larger pieces can go for 20 to 35. Depends on your pricing, which clientele you tend to interact with. Some people are not so willing to spend, some are. But it depends on your quality also. If your quality is good, they'll actually buy.
Okay, if the quality is good, then it's better. But you say that this is a seasonal business.
Yes. It is.
So how do you survive outside of the season, and how often do these seasons come in?
Well, initially I was lucky. The gaps in and out of employment were not so big. So, I mean, the good seasons would cater for any extra expenditure I had when I was not in employment. But as of the last 4 years, for the larger part, I've had to depend on the art. So I've learned to save up in the when things are good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me now come to Kevin. Kevin, I've seen you on various platforms, and I know that technology is the next big thing. You know, it has been the next big thing for the past decade. But I would like to hear from you. How easy has it been identifying a certain clientele for yourself when it comes to your business in car tracking?
I must say it's always a process that you need to really think about. What we normally do as Sunrise Tracking is that we normally go and do R&Ds with our clients. We do research also and try to understand the different parameters that clients are looking for. And through a process which is known as human-centered design thinking process, you can be able to easily be able to identify a need and be able to customize a product or service in regards to the taste and preferences of your clients. And by so doing, at the end of the day, you are going to meet the purpose, or basically the exact solution the client is looking for.
Okay. All right. And so as entrepreneurs, you know, there are a number of opportunities that you identify in your various industries, and I would like to know from you, how easy has it been to identify opportunity? Because in rising entrepreneurship or rising sectors in entrepreneurship, there are always more challenges than there are opportunities. But how has it been for you?
For me, I must say, like, for most of us, the young entrepreneurs, there's need for us to be persistent in terms of the urge that we have, as well as the drive that we have in our course, that is the entrepreneurship. And I must say that for me to be able to identify the different opportunities, it has always been a hard journey, simply because being a young entrepreneur, not many people are willing to work with young entrepreneurs, or not many people are easily getting or buying the idea from the young entrepreneurs. But for me, I've always learned the art of doing things professionally, and also the art of also doing the art of also of giving out service that is authentic. And by so doing, it's easy for most of my clients to even be able to give a referral, which most of the clients will tend to be able to trust in what I'm doing, and by so doing, I'm trying to make it happen.
All right, John, would you say the same thing?
Yeah, probably, but I would also add, in terms of exposure, there's a fair bit that anyone who wants to support can do in terms of exposure. Not just the funding bit or coming in as stakeholders, but there's a bit that they can do in terms of exposure. Whether it's setting up exhibitions. There's a new gallery called Circle Art Gallery. And with what they've been doing of late, they've been collecting artists, bringing artists together and holding group shows, actually group auctions for their art.
Yes.
And the value of local artwork has risen meteorically because of those auctions.
All right, so a lot of times industries like yours in the creative arts and technology are categorized as being small and medium enterprises or small businesses in this case, but yet they are the key drivers of many economies, not just in Kenya but around the world. But do you think that the markets have been open enough for you to freely participate? And if not, how best would you want the policies to be friendly to your industries? I'll start with you, Kevin.
For me, I think what's so much needed in our economy is we need a culture of buying Kenya, building Kenya. As much as we're having the government trying to push and to push the agenda of buying Kenya, build Kenya, we need to have the private sector also involved, as well as now the normal common mwananchi to be able to easily adopt and accept the kind of product you're developing out there. Because if you look at most of the young entrepreneurs, many of them have the capacity and the capability to come up with quality and authentic product. But with the notion of like it's made in Kenya, not many people are willing to adopt it. So I think it's a culture turnover that we need to have, whereby,
change of mindset.
yeah, whereby like now we as Kenyans, we try and see how best we can be able to emulate some of our products that we are building locally, and for basically for our own reason to be able to utilize them locally.
Right, John?
Yeah. A few years ago, I was working for an NGO, and part of the training involved with that NGO was supporting the arts. Actually, it was media arts and culture, and we actually studied it sort of as a course. And we were being lectured by Joy Mboya from the Go Down Arts Center. And one thing that came out clearly is that what they're doing there to develop the arts, if there was a policy approach from the government that supports such centers, maybe on a county basis, back then it was provinces. If they could have that on a provincial basis, that's what we were arguing then. Now maybe we can talk about the counties. If they could do that and support it, build it up, it would actually generate a lot of economic value.
All right, so devolution would be the way to go for small and medium enterprises, just like yourselves. All right, well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming to talk to us about entrepreneurship.